Today I learned 5 different stitches that are frequently used in hand sewing. These are all stitches that will come in handy for my 18th century gown project. Before we jump into it, please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can follow me on my sewing journey. I started by marking the right and wrong sides of my fabric so I could keep it straight as I sewed. The first stitch I did was a backstitch. It was a revelation to me that you complete a backstitch by taking the needle to the underside of the fabric and then back to the front side in one stroke. I had always done this by drawing the needle all the way through to the back and found it so difficult to find the right spot to bring my needle back through. This little change made such a big difference in my ability to sew in a straight line. Next up is a running backstitch. You start with a basic running stitch where the thread moves continuously forward through all layers of fabric and add a backstitch every 2 or 3 stitches for added strength. This next stitch is my favorite. It's called a prick stitch, and I just love how cute it is. It's like a backstitch, except you make the visible side of the stitch very small in comparison to the stitch on the back side of the fabric, which results in tiny, evenly spaced pinpricks. For the basted hem stitch, start with the edge of your fabric rolled up and finger pressed. Then baste along the folded edge. This is basically just a super long, loose running stitch. Once the basting is done, fold the edge up a second time. Then stitch along the edge of the fold, traveling all the way through to the underside and catching all layers of the fold on your way back up. Try to make the stitch on the underside as small and even as possible. The whipped gather stitch is done on the folded edge of a strip of fabric. Starting from the underside each time, pass the needle up through both layers of fabric. When you've finished stitching, pull the fabric along the length of the thread to gather it up. Stitch length makes a big impact on how the gathers look in the end. I tried several and really like how the medium length stitch of about 1 centimeter turned out.